Back in the last lecture we see that how we can create a project. We also look at some introductory informations about the Android programming and so we had these are the main components: activities, services, broadcast receivers, and the content providers. Today we will be looking more about the GUI design in the XML file or in the design view. I prefer to work in the XML file. It's much more easier and convenient rather than trying to setting up things inside the design view. And then later on we will see how we can add some functionality in those designs. This is our design view where you can see the your design, how it look like. We also have the structure of the app's UI is a layout. And inside that layout, we have different type of views: widgets, buttons, text views, radio buttons, checkboxes, sliding, drop-down menus. All these are the views. Image that you want to show. We will see not all of them we can see in one course, but we will try to see which are the mostly used or the common widgets. And all of these views are enclosed within a view group, invisible container which can combine them together into one thing. What you can say that a grouping together. So there are different type of view groups which are linear layout, constraint layout, grid layout. There are other layouts as well. First of all, we will try to see today the linear layout. What is that? We will go into more details about that. So again, at a top level, when you define, if I just try to show you the here, this one, right at the top, this is our constraint layout, and then at the end it is closing, and everything else is within that text view, button. It is inside this constraint layout, which combine all different components and make sure that you cannot have at the top level you have only one element and every other element it is going to be inside it. So that's why we have only one top level element, that is view group, and everything else is can be go inside it. View, there is another layout which is nested layout and which contains another 3 different elements or the widgets. Yes, that's a possibility. Okay, we will see how we can do. But at the top level in the XML, there will be only one layout which contain everything inside. What we need to do? We declare those elements, the GUI elements, layout, buttons, input fields, checkboxes, everything inside that XML file. And then XML file correspond to view classes. When I say constraint layout, there is a layout, there's a class inside the Java that names constraint layout. When I say button, then there's a class in Java that is actually represent that button. If I say text view, then there's a class in Java which represent that text view. Yes, we are defining those elements inside the XML and building and looking at how our user interface will look like, but when we want to show that, create that inside and run that application or run that screen, then we need to create those objects. Okay, the design view in which we defined it, text view where we can see the things, everything that we are defining here, text view, button, constraint layout, we have the Java classes there. So once we have defined it, in the XML we have the elements and attributes. Elements, constraint layout. These properties that we are defining here, XML, namespace, Android ID, layout width, layout height, context, these are the properties of this element. Just like in the HTML, we have the p tag or h1 tag, then we have different properties and we can assign the values. The same thing is happening here. Text view, we are saying layout width, layout height, text, constraints, the positioning constraints within that layout. These are the properties. So text view and the buttons are the elements, and then these values which has been defined here, these values, these are the attributes. Some of these tags are open and close, like this one, constraint layout, opening tag, we define all the properties and at the end we are closing it, just like opening tag and closing tag within the HTML. And there are some tags which are self-closing. Opening tag, assign all those properties, slash, angle bracket, close the tag. There is no closing tag here. Of course we can add it, but we don't need to. Okay, so there are some which are has the open tag and the closing tag, but there are some which are self-closing tags. Is it clear? Now, once we have defined this layout, and when we click on the play button and we want to execute or run that application inside our mobile device or the virtual device, then we are actually need to create the objects of all those classes, and these attributes will become their properties within that object. So we have seen that Java class, where is my cursor here? Here, this function is, we didn't write anything here yet. Automatically it is there. So what this function, this one is doing, this line, set content view r.layout.activity underscore main. What it will do, if we look at our XML file, it's activity underscore main. And here we are saying activity underscore main. So we are accessing that XML file in our resources, and then we are looking at that and then creating those classes: constraint layout class, text view class, button class, and then we can show them on the screen. So we are designing the thing in the XML, and inside our Java code we are instantiating all those classes with different properties. We can change the background, we can create the borders, we can do all those things. We can set those properties inside the XML, and then here we need to create those objects in our memory, and then they are visible on the screen. If I will show you after, once we finish the slides, then you can see that if I just comment that line, the application is still running, but it does not show me. It's just a blank screen it will show me, because we didn't say what we want to show it over there. Okay? So as a result, once we execute this line, it will create these objects, and then we can see it on the screen. And what about the other lines? We also have some other lines which are there. First line, just like the above the highlighted super.onCreate. So actually this is a subclass of another class which has already been defined. Okay, here if I just try to go back to my Java class here, so actually it is the child class of the app compact activity, and which is the subchild or the child of the activity class, which so it is trying to create or initializing that superclass object.
The superclass is the app content?
Yeah, app compact activity. And after that we are saying that edge to edge. Edge to edge mean, nowadays even you can on the top, that status bar is transparent, you can see backward of that one, and then even the bottom navigation bar, you can print something. So we are saying that edge to edge. Our application is edge to edge. So we are enabling that specific thing. Then we don't want that our contents that we are defining in our UML or the UI, they should not go behind this top status bar, and they should not go behind this navigation bar. Yes or no? Because if they go out behind that, it does not look good. I will show you the example. Like here, if I just try to here, and if I come down here, show me the system UI. Look, system UI, this is our status bar, and my text is going behind that, because here it is not applying all those things. And if I just try to put this hello world below that one, it will go behind that one. How we can do that? We can just say that if I just try to remove this line from text view, so you can see that it is going behind that. So we don't want this happen in the actual application when it is running in the mobile device. So how we can set that issue or overcome that problem? We have this part, which is saying that it is, you will say, oh, why? It say that view compact dot set on window insight listener, and then we are telling that r.id underscore dot main. And if I look into my XML file, I have assigned an ID to the top level view group, the constraint layout. So using that, I'm telling that put the paddings, put some empty space on the top left and right, so that my layout is not go behind that top status bar and the navigation bar. So that's what I'm doing here. Dot set padding left, right, top and bottom. So in this way, instead of my application is going, if I just try to do that, or do I select it? In this part, so it is a top padding. In the system, it will look what is the size of that top status bar and add that padding automatically in my top level constraint layout. So I don't need to worry about that. So these two lines or this piece of code is actually making sure that our graphical user interface is not going behind the status bar or the navigation bar. So that is only what it is doing. This one is actually creating my user interface, creating those objects and showing them on the screen. But these other part of the code is just trying to manage that edge-to-edge screen and then make sure that our UI is not going behind these system bars. Is it clear?
Is it dynamic, so it depends on the actual device dimension?
Yes, device dimensions. It is based on the device dimension, because what we are saying here, we are saying system bars. So when say system bars, whichever mobile you are using, based on that it is trying to get that. And again, system bars dot left. And if it is a left something, there is something on the left, something on the right, it automatically look at the system itself, and then based on that it will try to find out. So it is dynamic, based on, doesn't matter which mobile you are using. Okay. Then we have another thing, we only see XML file, we also see the Java file. We also have another thing that is called manifest file. And here inside our Android we have the app, and inside we have manifest file folder, and inside we can see the Android manifest.xml file, and this is a file. In here, what we are telling? We are telling that what is the name of the application, first step. What is the icon of this application? If I just try to run this application here, It is trying to run. In the beginning, it will show you that a blank screen with the Android logo on it. Okay, so actually it is, if I just open that manifest file here, then actually here we are defining that icon, icon, does it left to right and right to left support is enabled, and we are telling in the manifest file that in this application we have only one activity, and whenever we run this application, this activity is going to be will be our first activity. If we add more activities, then they will also be mentioned here, and then only one will be start at the start. Okay, so here it will give you some informations about your application, which is the starting application, how many activities are there, what is the name of the application, how you are going to back up, what is the logo of that application, and so on. Is it clear? So this is our manifest file. We also have the Gradle scripts. In the application we also have at the bottom we have a Gradle scripts. If you just expand it, it will show you this. And this file is actually more important. Application module. We have a project level. We also have the application level. At the application level, we are defining. Remember when we create a project, we say minimum SDK. What is the minimum SDK? So that is over there. Here. Target SDK. We are targeting 34. We are compile SDK. We are compiling this application using the 34 API level. We also have the dependencies.
What is SDK?
Software Development Kit. SDK, just like Java SDK, Java JDK, Java Development Kit. So we 1.9 now. Which version you are using? So that is where put up. We also have the dependencies. Dependencies. Some are the default dependencies which are automatically added. But later on we will see if we want to use some different features, then we need to add those dependencies inside our Gradle script, and then we will be able to use it. Otherwise we can't. So this is a more, what you can say that it's a script which set up the settings of the project, setting of the application, which define those things. And last time you asked me that can we change the minimum SDK later on? Yes, we can. We can come down here and do the changes here. Minimum SDK, target SDKs, we can change those things. Linear layout, common layouts that we have: linear layout, constraint layout, grid layout, list view, recycler view. We will be mostly working here, and then we also try to see some of them here when we talk about how we can dynamically show the data from different database or maybe some list, how we can show the data dynamically. Then we see a recycler view, grid view. But linear layout and constraint layout, we will look into more details. Linear layout. Linear layout is a very simplistic way, whether it is a vertical or whether it is a horizontal, two different directions. And whenever you put a new thing, it will either go down to the previous one or go to the right of the previous one. By default, it is the horizontal one, this one, from left to right, by default. If you don't specify any orientation, by default it is left to right or the horizontal orientation.
So when an element
they will go to the right, and eventually they will go out of the screen. And if they go out of the screen, there is no way that you can access it, because they are not visible to the user. If they are not visible, then how the user can access it? Then we need to make sure that we have a scrolling facility, then we can scroll it down and then the user can access it. Similarly, if you put the things in the vertical view, and every new widget or the new element that you are adding in the layout, it is going down, and eventually it will go out of the screen. And if it is go out of the screen, there's no way that you can access it. Is it clear? No, not by default. So, linear layout, vertical orientation, horizontal orientation. Do not wrap on the edge. Yeah? If something go out, it will go out. That's it. And after that, you can't access it. And it is your responsibility, being the programmer or the designer, that you make sure that you have the scrolling facilities that you can access those elements. We has certain properties: gravity and layout gravity. Gravity is applicable on the view group, the container, like constraint layout, linear layout, grid layout. The layout underscore gravity is applicable on the individual element. And then we can have the different values: bottom, center, vertical center, horizontal center, and left. I mean, we can, the alignment: left alignment, right alignment, top alignment, bottom alignment. So it's more like an alignment.
So
Aligning those different widgets individually, or you can ask in the container, you say gravity is bottom, everything is going towards the bottom.
So gravity is on containers, layout gravity on elements.
Yes. Okay. So let me see this part first. So we have this one. First of all, if I just okay, let me close that one. And first of all, look, here we have the let me control Z. So this was the constraint, how it was look like. Center aligned. This one I have applied certain constraints. Now I want to change it to the linear layout. I just selected that part, angle bracket. After that, I selected all that which is representing the constraint layout. I start typing linear. When I press enter, automatically it changed the starting tag as well as the ending tag. Ending tag is also changed with the linear layout. So as soon as I convert that into the linear layout, look, my elements are
One line.
in one line from left to right. First world, then my second text view, and then button. If I just try to add more button here, now I'm adding, but there's nothing coming up.
Out.
Now they are going out. Okay, so
Why is it vertically aligned?
sorry,
Why is it vertically aligned? Shouldn't it be horizontally?
they are vertically aligned because they are first element. This one, look, first element, second element, third element, fourth element, fifth element. By default, I didn't select any orientation in the linear layout. When I didn't select anything, by default it is a horizontal one. The next element is going to the right of the previous one. And by default, they are on the top side. Now, what I will do here, I will apply the gravity on the layout, not on the individual elements. So what I can do, I can just come down here, create a new gravity, not the layout gravity. I need to select the gravity. Gravity, I say bottom. Everything is going towards the bottom. It's like, gravity is pulling us down. So now I say down. So when I say center, we can say horizontal center, but horizontal center is not going to work. Vertical center is going to work. Vertically inside. So now it is very important to understand that when you create a text view here, it will create an invisible container like this. And for the next one, it's more like that. For the next one, so they are invisible containers or the rectangles which are vertical. And this these things can move inside. They cannot go left and right. When we are in a horizontal orientation, the individual elements can move up and down, but they cannot go left and right. So even if I just go into this button here, and then I can change, it's only the gravity for this one. Okay, so let me go into that button here, the first button, and then I say gravity. Here I am not going to select the gravity, I say layout underscore gravity. And then I can say bottom. Look, only that button is going towards the bottom. And within its own container, vertical container,
So
it can go on top. Yes?
what's the difference when you put linear layout at the top and when you set a center vertical?
Here I say gravity. Now anything that we are going to add into this one, it will automatically center aligned.
So gravity
Because we are say gravity at the container level, that gravity is centered. So everything that you are adding in this, any widget, anything that you are going to add, it will automatically align itself to the center of the screen.
and then linear layout, the first one.
The linear layout is a layout, that's it. Rather than using the constraint layout, I change the container with the linear layout. Okay? Because we have a linear layout, we have a constraint layout. We will see the constraint layout later. Okay? Maybe on next Monday. Okay? But linear layout. Now we are just looking at that one. Vertical and the horizontal. When we horizontal, it divides the screen into the vertical rectangles. And the widget is inside that vertical rectangle. So widget can only move up and down. It cannot go left and right. Of course, I mean, here I can say in that button where I select the gravity here, I top, bottom, go up and down. Maybe I can say center.
So we can set individual and we can set it
Yes,
globally.
center is again that's the same by gravity. Even I can say it is to left, but does not do anything, right? Because it is not allowed to move towards the left. What it do, it only go towards the top. I apply left, it go to the top.
What if you apply left to the whole container?
If I apply to the left of the whole container, so here we say left. No, nothing. Because this is a horizontal orientation, and we have the vertical. We can move it only vertical, not on the left and right, because that is a place of the other widget, and that is not possible that we can replace it, or we can overlap, or we can move it around.
Where did
Is
you
it clear?
define the horizontal here? Like, we didn't specify horizontal or vertical.
If we don't define any orientation on the linear, by default it is horizontal. Now let me do one thing here. I say orientation, that's a property, and now I can say vertical. As soon as I vertical, look, everything is going to the bottom of the previous one. Text view, button, and so on. Now they are, instead of going to the right of the previous one, they are going to the below of the previous one. And again, now instead of having the vertical columns, now we have the horizontal columns. And these widgets can only move left and right, not top and bottom. So now, because I give the left gravity, automatically they are going towards the left in the container. And if I just say that it is right, then they will go to the right. If I just say that center, then they are going into the center. Center means they are not only going to the bottom, but as well as vertically, both center. Okay, and if I just say that center horizontally, they will just only remain into that one. Let me remove that. Is it clear? Yes. Orientation. Gravity can be applied on the individual. Layout underscore gravity is for the individual elements, and the gravity is only for the container. So now the gravity is towards center, so everything is coming in the center. Gravity is towards the right, everything will automatically go towards the right. If you don't specify all the thing else inside the widget itself.
So orientation is either vertical or horizontal.
What is it, vertical or horizontal?
And the gravity is how it's central or left.
Center, left, right, and again depending on the orientation, sometimes it is not applicable. Here, if I just say that try to make something like gravity to bottom. It go there, okay, wow. But yeah, all the elements will go towards that.
Can you make it so like some of your elements are vertical and some are horizontal?
No.
All of them have to be the same?
I mean, yes, we can create those kind of a things, but then we have a nested layouts. In one layout, we have other layouts, and some are vertical, some are horizontal. Yes, we can, but that will become more complex. We will see that, but not now. We are just trying to understand simplistic way. We have at the top level, I have this layout. Okay, so I have this one, top level, one linear layout, everything is inside. If I just try to create another linear layout here, even it does not allow me. If I just do that by myself, look, it does not allow me to do that. And it is giving me an error, If I just come down here, cannot resolve linear layout. Okay, let me Control C here, Control V here. So even it said no. At the top level, only one opening and closing tag will be there. Only one element. At the top level, only one element. You can put one element, okay, that's fine, no problem, but only one. Because these text views, which are the views or the view group, they are considered as one thing. The top level, the parent class is exactly the same. Okay. Let's go back to slides and see what else is there. So we talk about gravity, layout gravity. Then we have the weight property. Weight property is trying to, if I say that by default, here we are saying that wrap content, I just try to make it, remove that gravity here, wrap contents, and I also try to don't show me that one. And I also don't need, because we are in the linear layout, I don't need these constraints. The same is true for these constraints as well. And I apply, for example, on this one I say right, so you can see that individual gravity is working. And I also try to remove this one, don't need that. Okay, I'm just trying to remove these constraints. So I have removed all these constraints. Weight property is something which help us to create the value. For example, here if I say that the height is 0 density pixels, and look at that, this one is 0, and now instead of, I just add one more property here, that is weight. weight property, layout underscore weight, and I say 1. No other property has a weight, so it will try to cover the whole screen. But if I just try to copy these things from here, copy this one and putting them into the height, and then we say weight, I say 2. Okay, here it is 1, this one is 2, so it is trying to be, say that this one is whatever the height of this one, try this one to be double of that one.
So it's relative.
Sorry?
It's relative.
Yeah, relative size. And here I say weight is equal to 1, and then again here I come back here and then say height is 0, and then weight is equal to 1. So yeah, these 3 buttons which has the weight 1, they will try to have the same size, and the other button is trying to have the double of these buttons. Is it clear? So that is a weight. If by default everything has a weight 0, and whatever that we are putting the things, and if we are in the vertical orientation, then we put the height 0. If we are in the horizontal orientation, then we put the width 0, and then we can apply the weight. It will apply the relative. Yes.
I want to make it more smaller.
If you want to make it more smaller, then you can specify, then you don't need to specify the weight, then you can simply say that you can give the actual value here, for example 10 dp. So look at that, it is only a very small. I will just try to make it wrap content, and then here again I just do the wrap content, and here I just again do the wrap content. So remove these weights, where is that? Yes, here is wrap content. So now if when I put that 10 dp, 20 dp, 40 dp, and accordingly it is making these sizes. So whenever we are putting an attribute, an event, whether it is a view group, whether it is a view, then we have to provide 2 properties. Have to provide. If I don't do that, then it will give me an error message. For example, width and height are the 2 properties that we need to provide, and if we don't provide it, look at that. It is underlined with a red line, and if I just bring my cursor here, it tells me element view text view does not have the required attribute, which is layout underscore width. So width and the height, they are the 2 properties that you have to provide, and if you don't provide them, then it will create some problems. Any questions so far? Is it clear? So let me stop the slides and and my here application is running. Now we come down here. If I just do that, now we are not creating that layout, and if I just rerun that application, is a working interval Gradle, a failure occurred while executing. Okay, I did not what is happening here? Okay, let me control Z, rerun the application and see it is working. Yep. No, there is some problem. I think that, okay, yes. Here, look, if I don't provide the width, even it is not compiling itself. So now if I just rerun it, I think everything is working, launching to device. This is a logo that has been defined so it is working. Let's come down here. I make it comment, because inside this code where we are setting up the padding, we are using that reference to this activity. So that's why we just need to comment out that line as well, or that part of the code as well. So now if I do that, it will just show me a blank screen. Nothing. Why? Because we are not creating that, we are not taking that layout and creating all the objects which are required to show them on the screen. Screen is there, but not the elements. And the other thing is, if I just try to do that and then rerun the thing, now we are creating the application, but we are not putting the paddings. Look, our hello world is going behind that top status bar. And if I just try to uncomment that part and rerun the application, then it will be fine. Yes?
Can you please zoom in the code?
Zoom in. Can I?
I think you should, the settings should.
I need to go into the settings, and then I need to look at the editor. Huh? I need to go into the font editor, and then I need to,
The second one in general.
yeah, font, and then I can just increase it to maybe 20, and okay. So yeah, you can see that now. Okay. So one more thing that I want to show you in the settings, because we are going there now. So if I just go into that tools, and inside the tools we have the virtual device. Where is my device? Device Explorer? No. Device monitoring? No. We have the virtual devices, databases, layouts. I mean, we can detach that virtual device from this one, this site screen. We can detach it from there. Okay, I will tell you that how we can do this tomorrow, or maybe. Okay, so let me finish this lecture at this point. Any questions so far?
Can you customize the